Welcome to viewers from the News Channel who've joined us here now on BBC One. You're watching a This Week by-election special. Voters in the Kent constituency of Rochester and Stroud went to the polls today to vote on a by-election. It was triggered by the defection of the Conservative MP Mark Reckless to UKIP. The Conservatives initially said they'd throw the kitchen sink at this fight. They'd recently lost the Clacton by-election to another Tory defector, Douglas Carswell. He also stood under UKIP colours and he won. He won big time. But the Tories' initial optimism at Rochester and Stroud has receded in recent weeks, with most people in Westminster expecting another UKIP win, giving them 2 MPs. Well, we'll see. We're expecting the result around 3 a.m. this morning, though, in my experience, it can often be later than that. Which is why tonight we're ready to talk for Britain until we do get you the result. And to help me with that, for the next few hours, a panel of top-notch politicians. At least that's what it says here, anyway. It's for you to judge. Ian Duncan-Smith, the Work and Pension Secretary, former Conservative leader for UKIP. Suzanne Evans, the party's Deputy Chairman. Labour fielded their Shadow Defence Secretary, Vernon Coker. And Brian Paddick is here for the Liberal Democrats. He was once a Deputy Assistant Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police in London. Welcome to you all.
Thank you very much.
Suzanne Evans, you feeling like a winner tonight?
Yes, I do hope so. Mark needs to win this. He did a fantastic thing. You know, he recognised he couldn't represent his constituents while remaining in the Conservative Party. He stood down, he did the honourable thing. He deserves to win, and he deserves to win big.
Why is it now such a struggle for the Conservatives? I don't preempt the result yet, but we have a pretty good idea what it's going to be. Why is it such a struggle for the Tories in a seat like Rochester and Stroud, which you won by almost 10,000 votes in 2010?
Well, I think this particular circumstances, and we can't prejudge it, I don't know. You know, we could win it and turn these things on its head. I like to believe that'll be the case.
You believe in the tooth fairy as well, do you?
No, I was down there 6 times, and I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. But anyway, that's by the by. We won't prejudge it.
So I put it no higher than a struggle. Let's do that at the moment. Why is it such a struggle for the Tories to try to win a seat like this now?
Well, I think there are circumstances here which make things slightly different. The first thing is that, as we saw in Newark, when UKIP stood and they didn't have an existing MP to pitch on, they didn't win the seat. We held that seat. That was the first, I think, by-election victory for a Conservative in government for something like 26 years. So we held that seat. Clacton, we had a sitting Conservative MP crossed over, and he took with him a certain amount of local popularity. That's what happens as an MP. You get to know people, they kind of respect you, and if you say you're doing something, there's a lot of them that will back you. And the same, I think, is going on here to a degree. I don't know how much that will account for it in the by-election, but the reality is that it makes it slightly different if somebody crosses over, because at that point, particularly if at the stage in the Parliament you're not far off from an election, this is a by-election, it allows people to believe that this is a shot at the government or a shot at Westminster, and then it's a different matter. But the big one for us is ultimately the general election, and that's where governments are chosen.
You're smiling.
UKIP will crow about whatever they want, but I think that's the reality of the situation.
Well, you were absolutely rock-solid confident that you were going to keep this seat. Absolutely rock solid. As Andrew said, you threw the kitchen sink at it, and the kitchen sink hasn't
with
worked.
Respect,
and now you're backtracking and saying...
No, with respect, you don't fight elections other than to win them, and we're doing that, and I still believe we've every chance of doing it. But nonetheless, the reality is this is a by-election. This is not about selecting a government, and there is a big difference. And in 6 months' time, I think that is a different matter.
But here's also the difference. It was pretty clear from the get-go that you had written off Clacton. And it was pretty clear that you thought, by you I mean your party, that you thought that Mr Carswell was going to win well in Clacton. Not just win, but win well. And of course that was reality. That was not what your party was saying from the get-go in this by-election. We were told, the Prime Minister said you were going to throw the kitchen sink, that you were going to fight to win, that cabinet ministers and MPs had to go there. You've been 6 times, I'm told, and so on. So isn't it even worse if, having done all that, you lose?
Well, you say that, but honestly, let's get this in perspective. We fight that by-election to win, and we said that's what we were going to do. There was a certain amount of anger, because Mark Reckless, just before he crossed over, had actually been telling his own constituents, his own party, in the association, that he wasn't going. He had made absolutely clear, you know, he took some records with him, as I understand it, so there was a lot of bitterness in there about his behaviour before he left. So, you know, we were determined to win this. I don't resile from this. You don't come into politics to fight seats to lose. You come in to fight to win, and that's exactly what we've done. I don't know what the result will be, but either way, this is a by-election. It is not a general election.
No, that's
a critical difference.
I've got that point. Even